this is pretty monumental and unusual. And I don't even know what to do with myself, but essentially the house is as good as empty because one of the guys went for a walk and one of the guys went out to run errands and the other is still asleep and will be asleep for hours, and a bomb can go off and he would never wake up. So it's quiet. What do I do with myself? But I did think I'm gonna make some progress on my mermaid. Today's a good day for it. Today's a good day for recording. I rarely get this kind of peace and calm. Well, the iron is gonna chime in, of course. But so yeah, I thought we could make some progress. I am going to clean off my table just to give me some space to lay out. It's a mess. It's a mess, but it is what it is. I mean, what are you gonna do? So I am gonna try and pick up a little bit, and I don't even know what to do with this stuff. Like, I don't know. If it doesn't have a home, it doesn't get to stay. That's just the rule. So, yeah. Okay. So we've got some big sections to put together, and this is probably a really good opportunity to show you a little bit of that process. I had some questions about what it actually looks like to deal with the larger sections. So we'll do that. In the meantime, I am also getting ready for the Fredericksburg show next week. So I'm doing a lot of printing. Put those over there. And I had this from when I had a table saw. I got rid of my table saw because it kind of freaked me out. I loved it, but it freaked me out. And this is like to help you hold the wood, and it's got sandpaper. I thought I could use it like to hold a cutting mat, a cutting ruler. Actually, it would be really nice. So I keep that around, but it's on the table. Put it down there for now. Anyways, I've also been thinking a lot about the embellishments on my quilt, and I'm really excited about the possibilities because I really think she's got so much potential for interest and excitement and sparkly. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit while I'm cleaning up. And then here, you want to see what I got? I went to Michael's yesterday. Look at this. Come on. Oh my goodness. It's so cute. And then, so I think I'm going to make a bag out of it with that as the base. It's so sweet. I'm going to throw that randomly. So there's lots of ways you can embellish your quilt if you're so inclined. Let's get this out of the way. Oh, I've been looking for this. Ha, okay. See, I've accomplished so much already. Perfect. I'm supposed to be making little name badge holders for the Legit Kits booth crew, per the request of Chuck. So I needed those patches to put on there and I was looking for them. Okay, so we've got yarn, we've got ribbon, we've got beads, outside of just thread. Like thread alone would do a lot of good for embellishing, but I really want to have a lot of fun with this one. I think normally I am in such a rush to finish something and in such a rush just to get to the next one. I mean, because it is my job. So normally, yes, I'm in a hurry because time is money. But this one, she's gonna be mine, and I see really big things for her. Let me go over there. So I really want to use the negative space to the max. I really want to take advantage of it. I think it would be amazing to add in like an octopus up in her, you know, let me look here. Like actually put an octopus up here, just kind of with its tentacles, you know, just that undulating thing. Down here is dark and mysterious, but I think some fish and corals down here. I've talked about putting sparkly thread in her hair. I'm so for it. And then some details on her. Are we just calling this whole thing a fin? or tail, I guess tail. That's the fin. This is her whole tail, bottom half. I don't know. I think beading could be really cool here. Even sequins. Previously, my first sewing related job was actually making custom wedding gowns. And I loved the beadwork. So I'm really excited to be able to combine my two worlds in this case. And so I think it would be really fun to do some really nice beadwork on her. Okay. When I fly, I've started doing this because I just think it's fun, and it's a small thing for me, but it just shows appreciation for the flight crew. When I fly, I give them little candy treats. So when I board the plane, I have a bag with usually 6 packages, and I hand it to that flight attendant that's at the front of the plane. It's got a little note in it, and then it's got my postcard because it shows a quilt I made from a photo on a flight. And so that's just a lot of fun. It's a postcard. They can send it, they can use it, they can do whatever they want to with it. But I just think it's kind of fun. So, and it just shows appreciation for the crew. They work really hard. Sometimes it gets you extra little goodies and benefits and what have you, but that's not why I do it. It's just an added bonus. But so anyways, I've got those ready for my flight next week. So let's get those out of the way. I feel like I'm just moving things around. Oh, I'll just use this bag that I just threw on the floor. Okay, this is my outgoing flight. And this will be my incoming flight. But I have to print more of these little tickets is the problem. Candy, random candy, random hardware, cat brush. I 3D printed these and they've been amazing. It's a binding maker, but I've 3D printed it, and I have a class where we actually have to make binding as part of the process, like a lot of binding, and this has been amazing. Stickers everywhere because I love stickers. Okay, I'm gonna put this in here. Cute little ruler. A scale. He goes over there. Okay, we are definitely making progress here. I need to hang that so it can stay. My frog, I don't know where he goes. He goes there for now. I am making, I'm doing a quilted ball cap, class in Fredericksburg. And I think this would be a really cute ball cap. So I'm gonna take this fabric and maybe use it as my demo hat. Okay. That is much better. I get this on clearance at Michael's, and I think I want it for like scissors. Oh, it'll go there for now. Okay, so let's see what we have. This is the bag that I've been taking around with me. It went to Grand Rapids, it went to Madison, Wisconsin with me. And I have a lot sewn together. I just need ironing. And then I have just a little bit left to actually, these are all sewn. These are mostly sewn. So I'll put that there. Those are all sewn. These colors are just, I love them so much. So that's sewn. A lot of this is done, and I'm really excited to be this far along. That one's empty. So what I'll do when I get to this point, once I get all of my pieces done, I'm gonna set them out in their piles according to the section. So let me get this a little better organized. Needs JG. Oh, ha. Yeah, okay. So I was missing a color there. There's some random fabric. These are not sewn yet. Okay, this is the ones that are not sewn, but that's not bad at all. That's a pretty quick project for me. There's my swatch page to keep nice and handy. And more random fabric, but I can actually, oh, see, this is why the swatch page comes in handy, because I can match it to the swatch page and figure out which color it is so I can put it away in his proper home. Okay. There's another bag I'm just gonna throw on the floor. So at this point, I have some really big pieces I do want to put together. This pile here is among the larger ones. Let's see what we're working with here. This is T, P, Q. Needs a good ironing because he's been traveling. So I'm gonna look at the diagrams. Not there. Other pile. Okay, so there's P. I don't know why this is in there. This is the diagram I used to quilt David. We were looking at the museum that he stands in. This is his view into the rest of the museum. So this is the carpet. There's some designs on the carpet, and then these are the pillars. And so I mapped it all out before I put it on the frame. I don't know why it's here. Okay, here are our diagrams. I'm gonna set those aside. And then there's the large whole quilt diagram. Okay, I think that's all I need. Okay, so, and if you've noticed, I've taken a lot of this paper off because by the time I'm at this point, I really don't need the paper. I don't need the paper to tell me where the 1/4 inch is, especially in a quilt like this where there's very few intersections that are just completely integral and dire if you don't get them right. So I take my paper off and then I have less to deal with later. So let's put these together. Oh, see, this one needs to be sewn for some reason. I bet I lost the fabric. That fabric is around somewhere. P, okay. Oh, we could sew some T's together. Like this big thing, I know, it's a pain. But let's work on that one then. Cat laid on this one. What do we have? T-E. That looks like it belongs to S. It doesn't say. Oh, T. This is T-F. Okay, so there's some of these that need to be sewn. That's okay. I can handle that. This is so disorganized just because I have been traveling with it. It is what it is. But I think she's ready to stay home. Okay. Oh, M. M might be a good one to put together. Yeah, actually, let's look at M. There it is. Okay, so according to our diagram, I have MA through MS put together. I have this whole top section put together. And then I also have MT through MV. So I have the top put together and the bottom to put together. So let's put those two sections together. I'll show you. I think in this case, yes, I do want to trim them. They are larger. And then once I trim them, I can take the paper off and not have to deal with that. So let's just do that. And some more fabric. Okay, so I'm going to trim these. Get me a good rotary cutter. Here we go. Okay, so I'm trimming on the outside of the seam allowance, but what I'm doing is I'm not relying on the seam allowance line. I'm not relying on the outside line to trim. I am relying on the sewing line and putting the 1/4 inch of my ruler right on the sewing line. I am not lining up my ruler with that outside edge because that could be inaccurate. Printing, I mean, anything could make it a little bit inaccurate. And even though it looks pretty good, I'm just not relying on it. I'm gonna rely on the sewing line to give me that 1/4 inch because I will be using the 1/4 inch on my sewing machine. And then, oh, let's try this thing. Let's see just how it works. And if my intersections are not quite perfect and, you know, maybe one of them juts out a little more, I'm just going to fudge it. It's okay. I just want this to be a nice straight line now. There we go. Nice. So I'm going to trim it all around. I don't know, that thing is a little unnecessary. Maybe if I was doing like a big long project or something, I don't know. Okay, I do not trim the dog ears. So these right here, called dog ears, where they kind of stick out from the pattern a little bit. The idea is that when you put these together, say I was lining these right sides together and sewing, you kind of match up dog ears sometimes, or they're just kind of help you line up. If you trim them off, you can see it a little better, but I don't worry about trimming it up. I just watch the line and make sure that, you know, I'm matching where they need to match, but I don't worry about trimming it off because that's just a lot of work. So like here is a better example maybe. I am just going to make sure that the line meets at the edge. So I'm not paying attention to the dog ear. I don't care what the dog ear is doing. I'm not going to trim him off, but I'm not going to use him for reference. So I'm not going to line him up down here so that the dog ear meets the edge. See how here the point matches the edge of the fabric, but where I'm actually sewing, there's a gap there. So I'm not going to use the dog ear to line things up. I'm using the actual drawn sewing line so that when I match the edge of that sewing line to the edge of the fabric, now there's not a gap at my sewing line. So I hope that makes sense. See, there's not a gap there. So as long as you pay attention to the drawn lines, that's what matters. Okay, there's MT through B. Let's do it with the other side. I think I have too many mats up under here, and they're kind of like bubbling up. Like there's a bump right there. I'll have to fix that later. Okay, and then same here. Here's a good indication. Here's a good example of where if your sections are not completely and perfectly straight, See how I've got it a little bit off. I'm just not gonna fret over it. I will just make it all straight. I'm gonna trim it off. In this quilt, it doesn't matter too much. It's not a make or break. So I'm just gonna line my ruler up and kind of even it all out. Oops, almost took down the wrong line. Okay, now that these are all trimmed, I can go ahead and take the paper out. And when you're removing paper, start with the larger pieces first. I will keep one on here just to mark what it is, so I don't lose complete track of what the section is. Okay, same from here. Because at this point, I don't need this paper to show me where to sew. And if I sew with the paper on, which you totally can do, but then you're gonna have this little 1/4 inch of paper to remove. It's just a pain. So I'd rather take it out now, and then after I sew the seam allowances, and it's just gonna be easier to remove at this point. And so if you've got a section like this where it kind of all works out, we're going to remove your paper in the opposite order. So I'm going to start from the outside and remove the paper from the outside and work my way in. And sometimes I'll stretch the fabric to pop the paper out of the seams. So same here, I'm going to work from the outside. You can use tweezers if you need to. I'm not gonna worry about those interior papers for now. I really just want to get it away from the edges where I'm going to sew. Okay. All right. So that's most of the paper that matters. And then I will sew these two together. So they're going to line up along that long seam. Now, in this case, there are a couple places where it comes together that it matters. So this little point of the tail coming down here and this little bit here, I'm gonna match those up. The good thing about removing the paper first is you can stretch the fabric. Take advantage of that little bit of bias it does have, a little bit of stretch. And I'm going to pin here first and check that they line up. Let me see, about a 1/4 inch down. I'm gonna fold it down and check, and it does not line up there, so I'll shift it over. There we go. And then if it doesn't match up down here, you can stretch it a little bit either way, but it matches up pretty well. See how that dog ear is sticking out? But right where I'm gonna sew that seam, that 1/4 inch is what matters. So right where I'm gonna sew that seam, the fabric meets. It does not matter what the fabric is doing over here because I'm not sewing over there. Right where I'm sewing is where it needs to actually meet in that valley. And then I'll come down here. Now, I might look at the diagram or the photo to see exactly how it meets up. So, let's see, so we're like down here. Right there. Okay, I see. So this one actually doesn't matter as much where it meets because it's almost like she could come off anywhere, and I think it would look okay. So I'm not as worried about that one. And the other nice thing about taking the paper off, see how I've got the tiniest difference in bulk between the top and the bottom? Like the top one is a little bit, has more fabric to it, but as I'm sewing, I can stretch it the tiniest little bit. It's called working in the ease. And I absolutely can do that because the paper has been removed. So I can work with the fabric and stretch in a little bit of that ease, and if the paper's on, it's a lot harder to do that. So I'll pin this nicely. And I think we're ready to sew. I've got another project here, but we'll just move it aside real quick. It's okay. You want to see a sneak peek? This is the next kit that's coming out. It's in testing right now. If I can find the cover page. Here we are. and it's going to be primarily for classes because it's a tiny little thing. So it's the Blue Jay, but he's a mini. He's 15 by 20 inches. So he's the size of Hazy Hills, but in a simplified Blue Jay form. Isn't he cute? So that's what I'm working on. Okay, so I'm going to just sew this seam with a 1/4 inch. I will backstitch at the front and the beginning and the end. I also really like sewing without the paper because I can really see where the intersections are and kind of drive towards them. So this one, he's a little off because the intersection is down here and I really should have come down a little bit more. So I can do that now. I'm going to correct that. What that looks like now. Much better, much better. Okay, so there's that section sewn, and see this side is kind of fine no matter how you do it. Love that tail. Oh, she's gonna be so pretty. So this is how I'm going to continue putting my sections together. I am really close to having all the sections done, just a little bit more sewing to do, and hopefully I'll have some time to do that. And then probably what I can do is look for some embellishment, actual options, some yarn, some ribbon, some beads. I've got a ton of beads. I'll look through them and see what I like, and then I'm thinking sequins would be really fun as her scales. I think that would be amazing. But I need to decide how I want to sew them on. So maybe I'll do them in a scale pattern, or that's where I need to experiment. So, you know, when I was doing custom wedding gowns and somebody wanted a beaded dress, I would do a sample for them, just a little hand sewn sample of beading to show them, or for me to experiment the technique. And so I think I'm going to do the same thing and just kind of have fun with this. Like I said, I really want to take my time with her. I think she has amazing potential. So I want to do it right, and I want to really enjoy this process. Usually I'm just so focused on finishing that I'm not really paying attention to the process. I'm just getting it done. But I think in this case, I want to pay attention to the process and serve her justice. So that's it for me for today. I am going to enjoy my quiet house for a bit more. I'm working on the mini Blue Jay to get that done for testing. And then I'm going to continue packing for Fredericksburg. So maybe I'll see you there. Of course, if you have any questions or you want to see something specific, let me know. And we'll be done pretty soon. I have loved seeing your photos so far. So if you've finished, I want to see your photo if you haven't posted it already. If you haven't finished, or if you're still working on it, or if you haven't even started yet, that's okay. It's a process. We're all at different places, and that's totally understandable. So I will see y'all later. Thanks. Bye.